Hello guys, thank you so much for tuning into another Destiny 2 video, and today I'll be reviewing the build called the best PvE Titan build in Destiny 2 Season of Dawn, Become a Sun Warrior by Plunder the Booty. Definitely go check him out, it's a good video, and just support him as well. So I'll be just doing a general recap of anything I changed in the build and going over the build slightly as well. If you want a more in-depth analysis, definitely just go check out his video. It'll be linked down in the description below. So I'm going over little things I changed, just the very, very small things for financial reasons, and then also just fighting reasons. Number thing I changed was the Monte Carlo instead of the Blast Furnace. I'm keeping the bottom tree Hammer Titan, and then the number thing I'm going to need for this build is Martyr's Retribution and Phoenix Cradle, which I'll talk about later. But for my perks, I'm putting Demolitionist and Autoloading Holster instead of Genesis with Demolitionist just because of the way I play. I usually like switching around my weapons a lot while playing to kill ads and so on and so forth. I could also do a threat detector and demolitionist, which basically when I'm around enemies, I reload my weapon faster, but instead I just put on a surrounded spec to do more damage. And of course, for my heavy weapon, I just do on Swarm with the Raven because it is still really good at damage per second, which I don't believe I actually even use in this video. So now I'm going over a brief overview of the armor perks. So I put Solar Plexus for the feedback I'll be giving out later. Phoenix Cradle is the number one thing you need to do and for this build, and it is Sun Warriors last twice as long, and allies who pass through your sunspot are granted the Sun Warrior buff. So basically, the buff gives you better damage, and your abilities recharge faster. Next is I just put on Molten Overload and then General Grenade Launcher perks for the rest of my armor. For right now, I'm just going to be talking about all the good things of the perk and how well it works, and I'll be giving general feedback at the end of the Lost Sector once I have completed it. So we are on the Lost Sector on Mercury, which I go here a lot because it actually has a lot of enemies that are very, very close together. So I'm going to go ahead and run through this really fast. So obviously I'm not the best at using grenade launchers. I've never really ever mained them, but I'll be using them to the best of my ability. So you can already see that exotic perk at work here by extending my Sun Warrior from 5 seconds to 10 seconds, allowing me to do a lot of damage to these enemies around me. Getting those multi-kills are not very hard to get because of this, how far actually the grenade launcher's wave actually splits. And I should be throwing my grenades here a lot more, but I decided to be a moron and not do so. But if I was throwing them more often, I'd be getting my grenade back every couple seconds and being able to throw my grenade more often. So as you can see here, it even destroyed the enemies that were down there. I'm going to go ahead and shoot a grenade literally right here, and it will curve over and to destroy the enemy, so multi-kills won't be extremely hard. So yeah, you can see me kind of just generally going throughout this Lost Sector with pretty good ease. And also, you heal while getting these Sun Warrior perks, so that's really nice. Yeah, so once again, multi-kills are not that easy to get. And of course, you see that Sun Warrior perk definitely adding effect there. And as I just absolutely destroy these enemies surrounding me, it's pretty easy to master this grenade launcher, well, at least get used to it. And that grenade also does a lot of damage. So next great thing about this build is that the super, when you need to pop it, does a lot of damage. Plus, it lasts a very long time while standing in your little aura of fire there. So as you can see, I already destroyed that boss, and I was able to do a lot of damage to the surrounding ads as well. Not only that, but even if I didn't kill anybody as well, I automatically get the 20% damage buff from being a Sun Warrior while in my super. So yeah, I went throughout this Lost Sector pretty easy, and it was actually really fun. So now I'll be getting general feedback before I go through the second time, and also while I'm running back. So while I'm running back, I'm going to give a general overview of what I'll be talking about when I'm going through it the second time. Alright, a brief overview of the feedback I'll be giving is, well, this. First off, it's really expensive. In order to make the build what you want it to be, you have to spend a lot of material to do so. Next, it requires void armor, so it may lead to very low stats, which because you're not allowed to use the Powerful Friends perk, which requires arc. And then enemies that flow are not affected by the grenade launcher because of the wave perk, obviously seen by those harpies in the video before. So you have to move around a lot, and the Sun Warrior perk actually wears off very quick, even with the exotic perk active. And you have to get these multi-kills. Which grenade launcher, it's still pretty easy to get it as, but with like 4 kills, especially when there's not a whole lot of enemies around, you're not going to be able to taking full advantage of the perk. And it's just not very good at moving around and clearing out ads. And it's not great at DPS other than when you use your super in order to get those boss kills. Alright, so now I'm going to be going over these kind of feedback more in depth. So I know you're thinking, okay, well, what all do you mean it's really expensive? When in order to get your armor masterwork or weapon masterwork, you have to use a lot of enhancement cores to do so. And yes, they're pretty easy to get, especially when you have to make when you're trying to upgrade your armor. It takes a ton of time in order to do so, and it's more of the smaller kind of feedback, but it's still useful feedback nonetheless, which you want to make sure that it's easy for the people to make and contribute to. Next, it requires, when I talk about it, requires void armor. Because of void armor is the only one that will give you the grenade perks, and so therefore you cannot have the powerful French perk, which if you don't know can be added to any type of arc armor, but you cannot have it unless you have a arc cloak or anything like that. It has to be your mark or something. Next, enemies aren't affected by the grenade launcher. What I mean by that is any type of floating enemy, the wave grenade launcher will actually just go right over. So now I'm going to kind of skip my first point and go over instantly to that it's not great at DPS other than super. As you can see in that video clip right there, it actually took me a long time in order to take down that boss just using the grenade and the grenade launcher. I actually had to go pick up more ammo before I was able to take out the boss, and in more high situations, you're not going to be able to fully do that. So, next is just take this feedback with just a grain of salt, alright? Nothing major. But this is probably going to be the hardest feedback, if you don't like hearing feedback, is that it's when you have to move around a lot, the Sun Warrior perk runs out. Yes, you have 10 whole seconds to get a multi-kill, but when there's not a whole lot of enemies around, you won't be able to get those multi-kills that often. I feel like this perk was definitely based on standing still and getting kills, but you don't do that a whole lot in Destiny 2, at least in my experience. So it's not very good at clearing ads and moving around. So now I'll be going my feedback and what should probably change. Number one thing is the Monte Carlo. March distribution can all stay the same, but the Sunbreaker thing can also stay the same as well. Next, the reason I Solar Plexus is it will work good with Monte Carlo, but instead of Phoenix Cradle, I'm just going to go ahead and put on a normal Void boot for Grenade Launcher Scavenger. Next, I'm going to put on Synthoceps. So why Synthoceps? First off, it buffs melee range, and being surrounded buffs damage. And also, the perks I gave on it gives me energy back for my grenade and melee ability, and so on and so forth. And then, obviously, if I'm switching between Monte Carlo and my Martyr's Retribution, when I get these multi-kills with my Monte Carlo, it'll give me a Sunspot, and not only that, but my Martyr's Retribution will automatically be loaded by the time I get that multi-kill. So you can see here, yes, I only have 5 seconds to get another kill, but since my melee ability is already active, I will already be able to get that perk once again. And again, I got a multi-kill with Monte Carlo and the Martyr's Retribution, and look at that. Voila! My weapon is automatically reloaded. So that's just kind of my general build. Not only that, but it increases your melee range and damage. Especially if you have a surrounded spec on your grenade launcher, you will those punches, and your grenade launchers will do a lot of damage. And you'll be getting your Sun Warrior perk way more often and way more effectively and consistent. On builds, you want to make sure that you're able to keep consistent with your build. It's definitely a unique build, and definitely one I should say definitely try out. But it could use just a bit of fine-tuning, as everything can. So now for DPS, the super is good for DPS. Also, if you're taking actually he's actually doing a good job of standing still right there. But since a lot of enemies are around me, I'm actually able to do a lot of melee damage as well. So luckily I was able to kill him before I died. As you can see here, when you get the Sun Warrior perk, you actually instantly begin to heal yourself. So I'm going ahead and get a multi-kill using Monte Carlo, unless he puts over that. But once again though, I get my melee ability back, and boom, I get the Sun Warrior perk back instantly. Not only that, but it'll destroy all the enemies that are around me because of the explosion radius that actually explodes when I get a melee kill. And being surrounded by enemies buffs my melee damage, so it'll give me more likely to one-hit KO that enemy, and not only that, but it will give me the it'll kill all the enemies that are around me. So those are the general things I did. Of course, go ahead and leave any feedback in this comments below. I love hearing you guys' feedback on literally almost every single video. Yeah, this is my just general feedback. I hope you enjoy this feedback and the update to the build video. For my video ranking, I'll be ranking it probably without feedback, probably around a 6 out of 10. It's pretty fun to use, but just take this feedback with a grain of salt. And peace. Feel free to subscribe if you like the video, and if you're interested in seeing more videos like this, definitely subscribe. See you on the next one. Peace.